Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
They have asked me for my input on it, and I haven't made my decision yet. I'm trying to figure out what we're trying to do with our tour. That's been driving me hours upon hours every day, and trying to figure out if I can actually do our team USA, and our players and everyone that's going to be involved in the Ryder Cup, if I can do it justice with my time. Serving on two boards and what I'm doing for the PGA Tour. I'm trying to figure out if I can actually do this and serve the people that are involved and serve them at an honorable level.
Is the Masters off the table for you?
No.
I think I've been trying to make golf so perfect, trying to hit these shots and trying to make these putts in a certain way that maybe others are doing it, that you forget how to play the game of golf. And I think looking back when I was 10, 12, 15, growing up on Chevy Chase, playing 10 holes, dropping 3 balls, like I played golf. And I've gone so far away from that creativity of that side, that I think the last 2 days, I went to go play golf.
Amazing in a sense of I've played 3 really good rounds these weeks. And, one of my skills and why I feel like I've been able to be on a lot of leaderboards recently is getting in around when I haven't had my best stuff. And, a frustrating start to both of the last couple of weeks, but I think these are some of the weeks when you look back, I'm very proud of sticking with it, not giving up.
I want to be a good example. I would say that I wasn't the best person, the best partner, the best, whatever you want to call it, the best son I could be when I was younger. But who I am today is a completely different person. With God, my family, my sobriety being the key things to my life, I can go as far as I want.
As we welcome you into the PXG Custom Studios, and as you just heard from there, we're at a part of the season, and it's a sprint now, from now through the end of the FedEx Cup to the Tour Championship, etc., where, you start with Tiger, and he's talking about all things that lie in store, both for him and with everything else that he has his hands into. And we'll get to more Tiger in just a second. He is the host this week at Riviera. But then Collin Morikawa has won again for the first time in 848 days. You hear from Scotty. You hear from Anthony Kim. And what Anthony Kim did and is doing is so incredible, and it is so inspiring that it rises above the simple plane of the game of golf, doesn't it? We're going to talk more about Anthony Kim in a moment, and the significance of what his march back, at least from a golf standpoint, if not from a life standpoint, more importantly, the significance of that in terms of athletes discussing mental health. Really interesting subject. We have an expert coming up about that who had, for a golfer, their own share of bravery facing some of those challenges, indeed. But for Tiger Woods, as I mentioned, he's involved in so much that will define the future of the PGA Tour, because there are some big changes on the way. Let's hear more from Tiger from Riviera from Tuesday.
The schedule was different. Okay, so we played, I think it was La Costa at the time, right, as the tournament champions, and then ended sometimes after Halloween. And so that's a 10-month span of golf, and that was all part of the PGA Tour. And there was, at that time, November, December, I think it was considered the silly season. And so it was just a different landscape. We played on the tour for 10 months, had an opportunity to play some fun events, some different type of formatted events in November, December, or some of the players like myself who would go down to Australia or South Africa and play on their tour. So it was just a different landscape than it is now.
Can you explain to me how less is going to be more for the PGA Tour?
Yeah, we're going to get more top players playing. We're going to make it more competitive by having we'll have fewer cards, so that in itself is going to make it more competitive just to be out here. Having Brooks come back, having Patrick Reed play as well as he is and committed to coming back to the tour, having Scotty as dominant as he has been, and to have Rory, complete the career Grand Slam. You have a lot of top players, but also you have a lot of youth that has come up during that time, and we're trying to create opportunities for that turnover coming from the PGA Tour U or it's the Korn Ferry, and try and get more youth out here because eventually they're going to take over the game. And so trying to create that opportunity, trying to create the right competitive model and the environment to foster that, that's been as what Doug asked, that's been the greater challenge of it all. Well, I think it's trying to serve literally everyone, from the player side of it, from our media partners, from all of our title sponsors, from the local communities, or even changing venues and going to bigger markets. It's what do we need to do from a competitive model to make our tour the best product it can possibly be each and every year, and still have room for development. And how do we do all of that at the same time? And so that's been the challenging part, because there's been a lot of moving parts over the last couple of years to try and get us into the position that we're in now with the FCC, or it's the boards being unified and linked together and working together. So it's been a lot of moving parts, but it's been in sync. That we've had a lot of information thrown our way, which has been great, and everyone's working collaboratively together. And that's where I was hesitant that we're going to be in this position where we're going to work together like this and function at a level to make our product better. But everyone's trying to make the PGA Tour the best tour in the world, make it better than what it is now, make it as how can I put it, as for the players, so that they can come out here at a younger age, like an opportunity, like a 16-year-old kid here at Riviera in 1992 got an opportunity to play. Trying to give that opportunity and those opportunities to these players and the next generations, or the generations to come. We would like to have it happen in 2027. We may have to roll it out over a couple-year period. It may not be able to be implemented, all of it, in 2027, but there will definitely be parts of it integrated or changed than from what it is now in 26 into 27.
All right, that was Tiger Woods out at Riviera on Tuesday. Very much looking forward to everything that lies in store. And as the days and weeks, perhaps, I was going to say months, but I think it's days and weeks, unfold, we're going to know a lot more about all those things that Tiger Woods is touching on. Now, for Collin Morikawa, his return to the winner's circle was incredible. He is one of those players that you just want to watch hit golf balls. He's a guy that you could, they always talk about the old, it's almost cliche really, where you say, well, those players, the old timers all talk about Ben Hogan, where people would stand behind Ben Hogan just to watch them hit golf balls. And over the years, there were different players. Jack Nicklaus, they did that with, obviously Tiger Woods. They did that with John Daly. They did that with different names that are popping into my head. I used to really enjoy standing behind Victor Hovland and watching him hit shots when he's really on form. Well, Collin Morikawa has the ability to do that. It's never really been done with a putter in hand. For Collin Morikawa, all of last season, his strokes gained putting, he was ranked 156. It's not even close to average on the PGA Tour. But he hung in there well enough to make it onto the Ryder Cup team and otherwise. How? Why? Because of his ball striking. It is that good. And yes, that same ball striking carried him to the top of the leaderboard this past week, but so did the putter. Not perhaps as much as you think. Like, I'm not going to tell you he was top 10 in putting or top 5 or you had a week like that. No, he was 44th in strokes gained putting, but 44 strokes gained putting when you're as good as Collin Morikawa makes a difference. But for Collin Morikawa to win it at a stage of one of the grand cathedrals that is Pebble Beach, where we start now, is how did it feel?
Just an iconic venue. It's weird, I think growing up, you think about the majors. You have this separate list of golf courses that you just want to go play as a kid and just go play when you turn professional. And I'd say Pebble Beach is exactly on top of that list. Just so much history, very iconic, like I said, and probably one of the nicest places I've ever been to in the world. And, watching year after year, last couple of years of coming here, watching those guys hoist the trophy, walking down 18, you want to be in that position. This was my second ever start as a pro at the U.S. Open out here, so just good memories going all the way back there. But overall, just thrilled with how this week played out. It wasn't, I don't know if thinking is the right word. I think it was more just believing and knowing why I'm here. I think I've been trying to make golf so perfect, trying to hit these shots and trying to make these putts in a certain way that maybe others are doing it, that you forget how to play the game of golf. And I think looking back when I was 10, 12, 15, growing up on Chevy Chase, playing 10 holes, dropping 3 balls, like I played golf. And I've gone so far away from that creativity of that side that I think the last 2 days, I went to go play golf. And I caught myself today, even after the bogey on 5, I was like, man, I love being in this position. Like I hadn't felt that in such a long time. And you feel that on the team events, you feel that here and there, but I just told myself, like, man, like it just felt so good to be in that position. And I knew when I was able to not convince myself, but just talk to myself in my head that way, that I was ready, whether it went great or what not, it didn't go great. I was ready to go execute the shots, play golf, and not worry about the wind, not worry about the rain, not worry about, man, if I make bogey on 8 and then I go try and make pars on 9 and 10, it was very in the moment stuff. But I think it all comes back to how you start the day. And, I started the day this morning telling myself, yeah, let's go out and win this thing. Yeah, there's an art to golf. And I think with the more and more technology, it's great that, to advance and figure out what you need to do better and how to perfect certain things, how to hit great shots. But there's an art, and we're artists at heart. And like I said, like I've gone away from that a little bit. I mean, it's funny. I watched my shot yesterday after we played on 17, and the announcers or whoever's talking was saying, "Oh man, like I'm hitting a draw." It's like I still know how to hit these shots. Like I play golf, we hit them shots. I just like to play the fade more often than not because I know most of the time what it's going to do. So for me, like being able to picture those shots and seeing those, the curvature, how the wind's going to affect it. I mean, today the best shot I think I hit was probably on 18 was great, but on 7, I've stood on that tee where it's been really windy, and you start thinking about numbers. You start thinking about, man, is a 9 iron enough? 8 iron is a wedge. And I just took out 9 iron. I looked at Mark. We kind of nodded heads, and like it's all feel. And that's that artistry, I think, that a lot of people, lose maybe over time. You definitely have that as a kid, and it's how do you get that back? And this week was really, really big for pulling that out.
So I was writing down some generalized notes for Collin Morikawa and what he was just saying there, talking about how he got back into the winner's circle as you take a look at his career. I'm going to go through that with you in just 1 second. Believing, knowing why, not trying to be perfect, and embracing the artistry. The graphic that you're looking at on the screen, I'll go through it just in case people are with us on the radio side. 29 years old, 7 PGA Tour wins, 4 DP Tour wins to his credit as well. 2 major championships at the 2020 PGA and at the 21 Open. 3 times he's represented the United States in the Ryder Cup, 2 times for the President's Cup. He's the first American, in fact, to win the race to Dubai. Of course, that is the DP World Tour's season-long competition as well. So with all those key points that I was just talking about, believing and knowing why and not trying to be perfect and allowing yourself to be the artist that you used to be and you're still capable of being now, how much and how difficult is it through all of that you're going through to remain patient? It's
not easy. I mean, it really isn't. I did that through 23, from 21 to 23, 23 to 26. And you hear it, you see it, you know it. I'm not shying away from it, but it's hard to look straight in the face and say, man, like, when is this going to end? But at the same time, you learn so much and you become just that much more wise about it. It's just how do you use that knowledge to actually go out and play? And sometimes that can be negative, in a way, you think too much, you think about this. I've been known amongst my team to go down these deep rabbit holes, like very deep, very deep. I mean, honestly, I think on Thursday I was watching swing videos on YouTube of myself, because why not? Or maybe more putting videos. But I think that just makes me who I am. So it's just part of what I do. I'm going to continue to tinker. I'm going to continue to keep trying to do this, do that. But from today, I won't forget the artistry that was there. When I was playing golf today, it was a lot different than Thursday, just because I wanted to play golf. I didn't want to put a score. I didn't want to, make a birdie, make a bogey. I just wanted to play golf and hit shots, and it's very hard to do.
Collin, during this long stretch without the victory, what was the low point for you?
I would say when the season ended, probably this year, or last year in 25. When I really put the clubs away and had to make a decision on what direction am I going to go? Like, how am I going to get out of this? And every off season is very interesting because you come out of it and you're like, man, I'm ready to go, but what changes are you actually going to make? I added 10 pounds of fat. of something, some muscle. I'm not going to say 10 pounds of muscle. I don't like that. But I put a lot of work into my body with some trainers in Vegas, physios in Vegas. Hired a new team to come out with me out here, and that's kind of the road I went down. I've been fighting this swing thing for so long, and I haven't been able to give myself time to make a substantial change. So in the 2.5 months I had off, essentially from mid-October, it was like, how do I get my body right? How do I get it to feel good? And then I go out and miss the cut in Sony, and you look back and you're like, man, did you really just waste 2.5 months? And it's hard. I mean, the simple answer could be yes, simple answer could be no, but you don't know. And you just kind of continue that. So, looking back at that season, positives to take from, absolutely, but there's a lot of things that, needed to be cleaned up, and I'm happy to look back at that, But Mark O'Meara always tells me there's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs, and it's how do you kind of mellow those out? How do you kind of smooth those edges out? Because the highs, you don't really want the highs to be too high, or else you're going to forget where you are and who you are. And the lows, you just got to believe in yourself and keep believing, and just not get yourself too deep in that valley. So I was never too low, but, in that bottom level, that bottom valley right there, there's a lot of grinding, there's a lot of thoughts, there's a lot of trial and error, because you don't know, what's that one missing piece or few missing pieces. But I look back at this week, and I don't think there was really any missing pieces. I just need to keep believing in myself a little bit more.
Fascinating, isn't it? I mean, there's obviously a reason why we call this show Fairways of Life, because the game is so much a reflection of life. But in this case with Collin Morikawa and his victory at Pebble Beach, it was more than just a reflection of life. It was an intersection with all those things in life that are, frankly, so much more important than whatever we do with a club in hand. And that was part of the emotions at the end, right there on the 18th green when he embraced his wife.
Kind of surreal to say, this was the week we started telling a lot of players, she was finally out here. Everyone kind of saw her, and you can hide it within the jackets, but we just felt like at the time, with where we're at in the pregnancy, it felt very safe. And we talked about announcing it if I was going to win. And after Friday, honestly, was kind of chalking it up to say, okay, maybe next time. But I had a great talk with my coach Rick, and put ourselves in a good position to do so coming into today. It's probably more the baby than the drought of winning, right? But I didn't know how I was going to react. I mean, I felt completely fine 30 seconds before I hit that putt, standing over the putt, making the putt, and then I take the ball out of the hole, and I have no clue what to do. But I think it just shows because we care. We care a lot. The work that you put in, day in and day out, guys helping you here and there, like Kurt Kitayama going out and helping me with my putting, just saying little things. Kiz actually talked to, I talked to Max, I talked to Kiz, I talked to Tiger during TGL matches. Like a lot of these guys, that's a lot of putting help. But just because everyone cares, it's a weird ecosystem in our world because we're all essentially individuals trying to beat each other out. But for the most part of my 7 years being out here, everyone's been able to lend a helping hand when you do ask. And that's amazing. That shows the character of a lot of the guys out here. And I'm very thankful for that. You know, I think hopefully, you know, guys look at me and for whatever, you know, how to hit a fade maybe. But, you know, everyone's very, very kind out here, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, they're looking at him for much more than how to hit a fade. He's a multiple-time major champion. There's a few things that he said. One of them was, I love the fact that he brought up Mark O'Meara. Again, a multiple-time major champion in his own right, a member of the World Golf Hall of Fame, and that Mark gives him advice that he follows. I love hearing about players from today that are willing to ask the legends, hey, how did you do it, and what did you have to put up with? That's really, I think, encouraging for the future when young people are willing to ask people older than them, what was your path like? Because it means something. It set a foundation. And then you also heard him mention TGL. If you guys were with us last week, you saw that we had a chance to sit down with Min-Woo Lee. And as we're listening to Collin talk about being, this is me paraphrasing it. This isn't what he said, but I'm just reacting to what I was watching. Him talk about kind of being more comfortable in his own skin, remembering who he was in terms of the artistry and working the ball, finding joy again in the game instead of going down what he called these rabbit holes, these very deep rabbit holes, he emphasized. No, instead, it's about seeing the shot, reacting to it, and making it happen. All of that goes into it, believing that you are capable. Well, for me, Min-Woo Lee strikes me as one of the most comfortable players in his own skin out on tour. Did you see him when he was waiting to see how Collin would finish? And he was looking at the monitor, and he came in and he looked back and smiled at the camera. He's just got so much personality. He is such an easy player to be a fan of. Well, Min-Woo Lee ended up finishing in what officially would be a tie for second along with Sepp. The number was 21 under par. And afterwards, he spoke to the week in reflection.
Great week. Obviously just shy of making the playoff, but I gave it my all. I think I'm very proud of the way I handled myself today and the week. Played a lot of good golf, which is nice, and been trending. So it's been good, and hopefully we can keep the form going. Yeah, I mean, hopefully I don't know what that result gets me in, but hopefully I can make it into other signature events. Fell short just by a little bit last year and not making the top 50, but you know, when we get these opportunities, we try to play our best, and I'm glad I did. But yeah, I mean, yeah, last year was pretty painful with the signature events, so I'm glad I got off to a good start.
So you heard me start the show today with comments from Scottie Scheffler. Scheffler ended up finishing a tie for fourth on the mark of 20 under par. His 4 rounds total for Scottie Scheffler is 72 in the opening round, which was a slow start, kind of a stutter start for Scottie Scheffler. But then he went 66, 67, and a 63 in that final round in those incredibly difficult conditions. And mind you, he had 3 eagles in that final round. Now, we could hear that and shrug our shoulders and go, well, he's the number 1 player in the world. We expect him to do incredible things. But what's interesting about Scottie is that he's starting to do these incredible things in different ways. Meaning that, you know, if you had Scottie Scheffler, I would put this back a few years before he straightened out his putter, right? Where he would kind of be slow out of the gate. That's not the Scottie Scheffler that we've seen the last few years. He establishes dominance early. He's either at or knocking on the top of the leaderboard and then come running at him, kind of a la Tiger in terms of that. But the last couple of weeks, we've seen him come from behind and nearly get it done the week before last, and then this past week finishing in a tie for fourth. Now, for Rory McIlroy, his story is pretty fascinating too. Officially, he ends up finishing tied for 14th on the mark of 17 under par. But consider that Rory, I'm going to give you first of all his 4 rounds, 68, 67, 72, and 64. You hear that and you go, okay, so he really had only 1 round where he wasn't under par. It was okay, but that opening 68, ready for this? He had 2 double bogeys. In the 72, he had a triple bogey and a double bogey. He ended up finishing only 5 shots back. So from that standpoint, first of all, let's hear from Rory in terms of how he reflects on the week that was, and then think ahead of Riviera this week.
No mistakes, no bogeys, which was the big thing today. What did I make? 8 birdies today on top of the 26 and 2 eagles or something like that. But I made 3 doubles and a triple. So, one of the first starts back of the year, trying to get the sloppy stuff out of the way, which I feel like I did. And obviously a really solid round to play going into next week. A little bit of everything, probably rust, some poor decision making early in the year. Little bit of both. So, that's all I felt like I needed to tidy up, because the good stuff in there is really, really good. Struck my irons well, drove it well for the most part. It was a couple of destructive tee shots yesterday, but everything feels in pretty good shape. And I wish I could have those 4 holes back this week. I played 68 really good ones, and even you turn those 3 doubles into bogeys and that triple into a bogey, that's 5 shots, and all of a sudden you're looking at having a 3-shot lead. So, but all in all, some really good stuff this week, and pretty encouraged going into next week for sure.
So with what Rory was just talking about, the rust, as he called it, and maybe not having those double bogeys, which are rare on a player's card anyway, not to mention multiple ones, not to mention the triple. Consider this. For Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, neither one of them have won at Riviera. Riviera is a golf course that demands performance tee to green. You wait, see, mark me on this. You wait and see who ends up winning at the end of the week and look at their performance relative to tee to green. It is quite remarkable to think that those two, and with that level of quality in another signature event, have not won there yet. What lies in store? All right, what lies in store here on the Fairways of Life show is we're going to talk about what Anthony Kim accomplished this past weekend, winning once again, and it had been a long time, and probably even more apropos, it had been a long road for Anthony Kim. To see him back atop the leaderboard, a win at Live, and to do it head-to-head against Bryson, to do it head-to-head against Jon Rahm, was most impressive indeed. And then as the show continues, we're going to bring on an expert to give us some insight into everything that's happening in the world of golf, including getting back to the winner's circle for Anthony Kim, especially when he's been as honest with us as he has been about the demons in his life that he has been facing. Folks, Ben Hogan Golf is back. BenHoganGolf.com is the website. I know you guys would absolutely love to play golf clubs with the name etched right in the metal of the iconic Ben Hogan. Talk about a comeback from Mr. Hogan when he won 6 of his 9 major championships after his near-fatal car accident. Check out Ben Hogan's equipment because, yeah, it's artistry. It's some of the most beautiful clubs you'll see anywhere in the industry, but they're absolutely packed with technology, and it is a direct relationship between you and them. They are your tour truck. BenHoganGolf.com. More of the Fairways of Life show coming up.
Golfers today are a different breed.
Who? Me?
We see the game in a different way.
We all have our own style.
We swing our own swing.
But we have one thing in common.
We are all about the details.
Introducing the Revel line of grips from Superstroke. With 3 distinct offerings to choose from, the Revel is in the details.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The Rome clubs are costing you strokes. PXG can fix that for an amazing new price. PXG Black Ops drivers, double gold winning, effortless distance, and game-changing forgiveness. PXG Gen 7 irons, unmatched quality, precision, and a feel so pure you'll never want to swing anything else. Save your season and save with incredible new pricing on Black Ops and Gen 7. Book your fitting now. PXG, you've never played like this before.
FlightScope Mevo Plus is the ultimate indoor and outdoor golf launch monitor and simulator. It gives you the club and ball data you need with the accuracy you demand. Mevo Plus comes with ownership of simulated golf courses for you to play and practice at home. Mevo Plus is an essential golf partner to help you improve and understand your game better. Put more purpose in your practice. To learn more and get your Mevo Plus, shop now at flightscope.com.
Head down, water down the left, bunker down the right, take the club straight back.
Wandering minds. When golfers lose their focus, they're totally... But Bridgestone can help.
Introducing Mindset. The ball scientifically designed to keep you focused.
First, identify your target.
Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the Tour B and E12 with Mindset technology.
See what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
What does it take to be an original?
Cam knows something about that. So does Chi-Chi, Charlie, and you get it. In 1955, we stepped onto the scene. Now a new generation of pros are wearing the most iconic styles in the game. The fit, the feel, the look. It's all an expression of you. Original Penguin. Here for the good times.
Middle market businesses are facing unprecedented shifts, which demand tailored solutions and decisive action. RSM stands as the unwavering leader of the middle market, empowering you to take charge of change and conquer this era of transformation. RSM. Experience the power of being understood.
Highlights from Anthony Kim, live in Australia. Here he is at the par 3 12th hole on 18 under. John Rahm is at 19 under. You saw he pours it in there, tied, heading to the very next hole, which is the 13th, par 5. Has this opportunity for birdie and nails it. He goes ahead on 20 under. Back-to-back birdies. Can he make it 3 in a row? Yes, he can. To 21 under, he's now 2 shots clear of Rahm, who's stuck on 19 under. Now 15. And it would be 4 in a row. That would get him to 22 under. Ultimately, that would be enough. Here he is tapping in at 18. Celebration that would ensue. That's his daughter and his wife running out to say congratulations. What a credible story of redemption, of reclamation it has been for Anthony Kim. You know what I love about this story? I love the fact that the game of golf writes its own story. Nobody owns the game of golf. It doesn't belong to a particular tour. It doesn't belong to a particular group of players. The game of golf writes its own story. I don't care who you are. I don't care what side you are in different arguments, etc. There's nobody that could have watched that and not felt like, one, that it was great competition and that it was great golf, because it was all of that. And then it was an incredible story. Here we had Anthony Kim, for all the things that he represents, the brash youth that was playing so well. Remember the big belt buckles that he used to wear, won 3 times in the PGA Tour, knocking on the door of major championships, a hero at the Ryder Cup in 2008 at Valhalla, and then for over a decade, nothing. Consumed by injury after injury after injury, and then the personal demons that saw him almost lose it all, quite literally. And then slowly he makes the march back. Yeah, He had an opportunity to do it, which was great. And sure, anyone that would be truthful would admit that it sure as heck didn't look like it would be a journey that would end or at least culminate and pinnacle to this point where it did this past week. And yet it did. It was that cool. I guess the question to ask of Anthony Kim then, when you sit down in front of the media and you've had just a tiny bit of time to contemplate what you've done, can you even start to comprehend how inspiring your story is?
I want to be a good example. I would say that I wasn't the best person, the best partner, the best, whatever you want to call it, the best son I could be when I was younger, but who I am today is a completely different person. With God, my family, my sobriety being the key things to my life, I can go as far as I want.
That stretch down the back nine, those fist pumps, is there any sense that maybe those were years in the making?
Yeah. I'm too old to be reacting like that because I think I pulled something in my hip. But I will say that was all the lows that I went through in my life that I got to dig out of. Every putt that went in, I felt the struggle, and I was overcoming it. So it was therapeutic out there to fight through it and come out on top.
Deep down, the guy who finished third in the Masters, won PGA Tour events, was number 6 in the world. Do you think you can get back to that level at some stage? I know there's a long way to go, but do you think you can get there?
Nothing's holding me back. Nothing's holding me back. I just have to keep working. The 1% better every day thing is a mindset that I'm going to carry with me till the day I die. So I don't see why I can't make it to the top again.
Is there an overarching message that you'd give to anyone battling a bit, or?
Don't quit. That's it. Don't quit.
Amazing, isn't it? It's so incredibly inspiring. That last comment there is obviously talking about the tenacity. Here's Anthony Kim's career. 3 wins in the PGA Tour, 122 starts, 15 major championship starts. 3rd place at the 2010 Masters, 22 career PGA Tour top 10s, and 4 runner-up finishes. He has that win now on LIV in 26 starts there. In 2008, the United States Ryder Cup team, he went 2-1-1, helping the U.S. win that Ryder Cup. In 2009 at the President's Cup, he went 3-1-0. Do you know this past weekend, he was bogey-free in the second and final rounds? He only had 3 bogeys, in fact, all week. So you think, someday, when you have a chance to explain to Bella as you watch his daughter run out on the 18th green and embrace her dad, with everything that you went through, what will you tell her?
I'm going to try to leave a lot of details out, but I will tell her that, you know, before she came into this world, that I didn't feel any purpose in my life. And, you know, whether you have a lot of money, whether you have a lot of success in your life, you still can feel lonely and feel like the world is against you. And that's in your own mind. Because I had a lot of people rooting for me. Obviously, you saw it there, how many people were rooting for me. But I just want her to know that no matter how bad your day is, if you keep fighting, you never lose. And hopefully she takes that with her for the rest of her life. I want to inspire people. I know, I told my wife this, the only way I get to reach the amount of people I want to reach is by winning. I can talk about my struggles all I want, but if I don't have the platform, then I won't reach as many people. And when I was in rehab, that was my goal. I said, if I got out of here, I'd like to help people, and golf wasn't in the picture. So to be able to have this platform, to have, you know, HE and LIV welcome me with open arms has been tremendous in my growth and my self-belief that other people believe in me. So Absolutely. My goal is to inspire the people that are struggling because I feel like the world needs more of that today. Best moment of my life so far. Obviously, you know, when Bella was born, Emily and my life changed. But to be able to share this moment, even though Bella won't understand it, one day she will. And for her to be able to run on the green and see her dad isn't a loser was one of the most special moments of my life.
And what will a celebration look like for you? As we know, 16 years and a lot's happened. How will you celebrate?
I might actually watch the movie Frozen. I don't know, man. I didn't plan this far. I planned to be contending to win golf tournaments, but I haven't gotten this far. But I'm going to enjoy my time here in Australia. We're going to be here for 2 more days, and we're going to go see the kangaroos and the koalas, maybe some giraffes. So that's my fun.
Amazing stuff. Time now for Did You Know, presented by FlightScope. Log on to flightscope.com and check out the new i4 rangefinder magnetic. Yeah, it's stick right to the side of the cart. This rangefinder is absolutely revolutionary in every way because it has their patented environmental optimizer. It means it gives you effective distance so that you know exactly what club you should be playing. It's to make sure that you have the proper gapping as well between your clubs. It takes into account everything. We're talking about wind, we're talking about humidity and more. Anthony Kim's notes. He's now 40 years old. He turned professional in 2006. He moves from 847th in the world to 203rd. Pre-2026, best live golf finish was a tie for 25th. In 2026, he had a tie for 22nd. And then, of course, now he has victory. Second in live golf standings currently. What could that mean for the major season that lies in store? He's the first professional. This is his first professional win since the 2010 Houston Open. All right, folks, as the Fairways of Life show continues, we're going to go through a reflection on the week that was and the week that will be and much more. All of that with an expert on the Fairways of Life show right after this.
If that doesn't get your golf hormones raging, I don't know what will. This horse will do it again!
Slam dunk. What a shot.
Every tournament starts here all season long.
It's beautiful, isn't it? When you think about the storms ripping across the country right now, then you see a scene like this. Serenity, right where you'd be wanting to play golf. Maybe not so much this past weekend at Pebble, as the winds kind of kicked up and it was pretty raw out there all week. Welcome back to the PXG Custom Studios. Perfect segue for our next guest, Christina Kim, who's been associated with PXG forever. She is a multiple-time winner on the LPGA Tour. 511 starts out there, mind you. 3 times she has represented the United States on the U.S. Solheim Cup team. She is lead analyst for PGA Tour Live. Christina, it is very good to see you. I guess because I mentioned Pebble, let me start out there. Did Pebble Beach deliver once again?
Long story short, at the end of the week, yes, absolutely. I think that Saturday and Sunday, Pebble Beach did a wonderful job of really showcasing, all of the highs and the lows that you can expect out of a golf course like that. The last 5 or 6 holes really, really kind of showed their teeth. And I think, everyone had the assumption that Akshay Patil was just going to walk off with the trophy. But the way that I saw it, he sort of stumbled for the last gosh, I guess 31 holes or so. And to me, or maybe 30 holes, let's say, to me, that seemed like a little bit of an indicator once we got into the back nine on Saturday that I was hoping for anybody and everybody to win. But just knowing that he went blistering out at the very beginning of Saturday and then struggled on his way in, and knowing that the winds had switched from that northwesterly wind to something more in that south southeast, complete opposite, I knew that it was going to really bear its teeth coming down that stretch. And I absolutely loved getting the chance to witness that.
Christina, are you doing a flex with me with those nails?
No, I talk with my hands. Like when I'm doing my PGA Tour live, we're not necessarily on camera all the time. But I was just trying to match the beautiful shot that you had opening for the scene, as well as I'm trying to match your shirt. I just did these the other day, to be honest.
That's right. They do. Your nails match the shirt. No, it looks great. That you always look fantastic. Collin Morikawa, back in the winner's circle. It was 848 days, if I'm not mistaken, something around there. Incredible, but his comments, I'd love to hear what your reaction is to this, because you've won. He's now won once again, 7th time for Collin Morikawa, already a multiple-time major champion, but he was talking about getting his belief back. He was talking about, and I'm paraphrasing, not playing golf swing as much as becoming once again a creative artist.
Boy, yeah, we can go dive into this really, really deeply. I will try to summarize as quickly as I can. There is a delicate balance when you sit there and say, I am obviously one of the greatest players that this game has seen, especially in this current era. And having that balance between relying on and understanding technology versus just playing golf and being an artist, as opposed to being so focused on metrics, can cause a lot of, whether it's doubt, a lack of self-belief, just questions. Whereas, like you look at how he first came out, just splashed out onto the scene, won so quickly in his career, was, and is still one of the first few names you think of when you think of the best American golfers on the planet. But you get to a point where, we talked about this ad nauseum last week about how Collin Morikawa finished 156th in strokes gained putting. And everyone would sit there and be like, oh my gosh, how does he even keep his tour card? And it's like, well, sweetheart, he was like 3rd in strokes gained approaches, I think it was, or proximity or whatever. And so those numbers, it's not that they're skewed because they are based in reality. It's just you have to kind of look at them as an entire dish as opposed to just one singular bite. And it's like, if you're going to be on almost every single green, that means you're giving yourself tons and tons of birdie opportunities. And if your proximity is great, because, Collin, with that tight little cashmere fade that he plays, he knows exactly where his ball is going to end up. And then you have to scale it back and say, okay, from like 15 feet, let's say it's less than 30% of putts are being made. But if you're constantly 15 feet from the hole, you would sit there and think, well, okay, that means I should be making, let's say 3 out of every 5 or 3 out of every 10, just based off of statistics. And then let's say you make 2 out of every 10, you're a little lower than what the statistics state, but you feel like so much worse about your game. Whereas you have to kind of look at everything as a whole in terms of what the metrics are really telling you. And I think that for him, so much of it is just, Jake Knapp had mentioned the same thing earlier this week, as well as throughout the season, where he's made some swing changes. He's made some changes to his team. And now he's just, instead of focusing on having a pretty swing, he's playing golf. And it can be, you're dancing on a knife's edge.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It's really interesting that you brought up his ball striking, which is sublime. As compared to last season, you mentioned 156. That was his strokes gained putting, folks, last season. You heard me talking about it earlier in the program, too. And you also heard me mention this stat, folks, earlier in the program, that this week he was 44th in strokes gained putting. And I think that connects all the dots here, doesn't it, Christina, where we're talking about, and it used to be the same with consistency and still is with Adam Scott, where you have these absolutely beautiful ball strikers. If they can get even average with their putting, and in this case, we're talking about 44th on those difficult greens at Pebble Beach, he can absolutely win every single week with that kind of combination. And frankly, that's the kind of combination that you need tee to green at Riviera when you're hitting into these different quadrants on those greens too. So even that sets up well.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful point. And the thing is, we sit here and you say, okay, he was 44th in strokes gained putting. So, it's a massive improvement from where he was at the end of last season. This is still, it's 44th out of 80 players. So you're not even at the halfway point. You're still below the quote unquote average, if you will. And I think last week at Pebble Beach is really going to set up great for Collin this week, because we talk about how at Pebble Beach, we've got the smallest greens on tour where they average around 3,500 square feet. They were the smallest greens last year, I should say. This week, where Ludwig Åberg is going to be defending his title, we're going back to Riviera because last year, because of the horrible fires that they were dealing with in Southern California, and there was a fire 3 miles, I think, at most from Riviera Golf Course. They had to move it back to Torrey Pines,
Torrey South,
and and Riviera's greens, like you said, you've got quadrants, you don't even have dinner plates in terms of where the landing areas are on the greens at Riviera. They're teacup plates. And so knowing that Collin has his swing in a really, really good place, and he's, like he's putting well, but he's like putting okay. Like that is a pretty dangerous combination.
Yeah, there's certain players, when you think back over time, I mentioned Adam Scott, Collin Morikawa to me is one of them, that when their swing is on song, it's inspiring. It's just so much fun to watch him strike the golf ball. And it was interesting because I was watching a lot of your coverage this week. And with Collin, you can hear it. You know what I'm saying? You can tell when he absolutely flushes it and compresses the golf ball, because he is that good at what he does. Let me ask you a couple of questions. I want to bounce off because we don't have a ton of time with you, and we appreciate it whenever we do get the opportunity to speak with you, Christina. Signature events, are they working?
Long story short, yes, because you sit there and you talk about the additional points. I was having this conversation with Justin Galanti, who was the host of our feed last week, the lead host, excuse me, and everyone had put so much emphasis on just the majors for the longest time. Completely understandable, but you've got stretches where all of a sudden your entire season and theoretically your entire career can be made or broken based on like a 5-week stretch. Like this 5-week stretch right now is ginormous. Between the players, you've got the the Genesis this week, you've got the API. There's such a huge consolidation of points, combined with the fact that they're only giving out 100 cards, that all of a sudden it really does elevate these events. Because if you can go out there and you can win, there's so many different incentives. Money aside, they play for so much money. It's comical. But you're talking about, if the difference between getting your card, losing your card. You're talking about the difference between getting into the playoffs, getting knocked out of the playoffs. You're talking about getting into the Tour Championship, and there's obviously a very, very sweet incentive on top of that, getting into the Tour Championship, because just teeing it up means that you're going to be, cashing in some pretty nice change. And so I think that the signature events are working in that sense, the elevated points and just the desire to get more players to want to get into these events. It's huge.
Let me bounce some players off you as we wrap up this segment. I'm going to ask you to hang with us through the commercial break, because I want to have you come back and talk to us about what Anthony Kim is doing, or has done this past weekend with breaking through in victory again, because it was so remarkable. But first of all, I want to start with Scottie Scheffler. He ends up finishing in a tie for fourth. He has a 63 in those challenging conditions on the final round at Pebble Beach. He went 72, 66, 67, and then 63. Second consecutive week that we saw Scottie Scheffler kind of start slow and come charging up and nearly get himself in position to win for 2 consecutive weeks. That really isn't a common thread for Scottie that we've seen in the past, but he is such a consummate competitor now. I guess we can never count him out. What are your impressions of what you saw?
I know that, gosh, was it last year or the year before? I feel like I'm getting so old, I can't quite recall which year it is. There was a period of time before gosh, I guess it was 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. It was before the Bay Hill Invitational. Scotty's first round scoring average was 72.0. And that was when he was he was quote unquote struggling. And then he just, he changed putters and then just immediately took off starting the week of the API. So for me, I was actually talking with Justin about that. There's something kind of comical of we're sat there late on a Sunday and Scotty just hit his second shot into the par 5 18th on the 72nd hole. And he left it 2 feet 7 inches short of the cup and on like a perfect line too from where he was coming in from. And I was just like, what measure of expletives would be coming out of my mouth if I sat there and it's like Scotty Scheffler was able to go out there and win where he only had 3 rounds of golf to play up against everyone else who had 4 rounds of golf in relation to par because he shot 72, even par in that first round. And it's early in the season. Like, I don't know. I think you're right. It's not the most typical thing that we see out of Scotty, but if he can just grab a couple more birdies or shake off a little bit of extra dust on those first, even 14, 15 holes, it is just going to be foul.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was the word that I would choose for it, but it would be definitely impressive with what he is capable of. There's no one else like Christina Kim. That's why we love having her on the program. All right, I want to ask you about Rory as well. Rory ended up finishing in a tie for 14th after rounds of 68, 67, 72, and then he had a fabulous final round with a 64. I do want to note this just because it's remarkable on what Rory did, considering the following. In that opening round, 68, 4 under, sounds pretty good, nice start. He had 2 double bogeys. In his third round, 72, he had a triple bogey and another double bogey, and he ends up finishing 5 shots back. So for Rory McIlroy, is it a measure of how far or how close?
Oh, it's definitely how close. I think, he had mentioned earlier in his press conference talking about how he wanted to focus on consistency. And I think that there is something huge to be said about someone that, like last year, he finally got that white whale. He finally got that career Grand Slam. And it took him a while to get back to that sense of feeling like you really have something to play for, like not in a bad way by any means, but just, how exhausting it can, or excuse me, a tour player and a winner on tour, I know how exhausting it can be to have got that win. And then it's hard to get up in the morning sometimes afterwards and just be like, okay, now what? So the fact that he was able to bounce back from that, because that monkey had been on his back forever. And so he's now looking at different challenges and he wants to say, okay, it sounds so silly because these are the best players in the world, but imagine being like, man, if I can just go a tournament without a triple and 3 doubles, I wonder where my game would be at. I think that that's something that I really like because one, it showcases that he's not reached his full potential in his full form in this present stage in his career. And secondly, it gives, I don't know, I think it gives a little hope to us mortals because it's like, whoa, Rory can miss a short little putt twice in a single round. Yes, in that first round, he did hole out for eagle on the 14th hole par 5, and it was the perfect, bunker shot on the 17th hole at Spyglass. He also hit his 3-wood like almost into the lip of the bunker and it just rolled down. It almost carried far enough and on a perfect line to go like right at the flag. But I think that we're not done seeing stuff out of Rory, which is really exciting.
And we are not done with Christina Kim yet either. When we come back here on the Fairways of Life show, I want to ask her about her impressions of what Anthony Kim has done, because it was so very, very impressive to see him win again on LIV this past weekend. What does it mean at large? What Newton golf shafts can mean to your game is something that you may want to investigate as well. Just log on to newtongolfco.com, newtongolfco.com, and you can see why they are making so much noise in the world of golf. Their shafts feature an elongated bend profile. And as a result, you're going to actually feel load at the top of your golf swing. They're fast motion shafts that you see on your screen now are the shafts that are being used by so many of the world's best players. You can be your very best player by logging on to newtongolfco.com. Back with more after this.
You think you know Florida golf? Think again. 4 legendary courses and counting. Carved from reclaimed earth where a mining past meets a golf future. Wild but intentional, this is golf that makes you feel something. Legendary courses, unforgettable moments. This is Stream Song.
Head down, water down the left, bunker down the right, take the club straight back.
Wandering minds.
When golfers lose their focus, they're totally...
But Bridgestone can help.
Introducing Mindset. The ball scientifically designed to keep you focused.
First, identify your target.
Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the Tour B and E12 with Mindset technology.
See what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
Imagine your ultimate golf experience. There's a good chance it's Michigan's Magnificent 11. 11 spectacular courses from Boyne Golf, varied in both topography and play. Boyne Golf was named the #1 best golf destination in USA Today Reader's Choice 2025. And the Highlands at Harbor Springs is the #2 golf resort in that same USA Today poll. The ultimate golf experience. That's Michigan's Magnificent 11.
This is golf.
A shot, honey.
And this is Golf's Superstore.
Oh, yeah, we'll take this.
The Rome clubs are costing you strokes. PXG can fix that for an amazing new price. PXG Black Ops drivers, double gold winning, effortless distance, and game-changing forgiveness. PXG Gen 7 irons, unmatched quality, precision, and a feel so pure you'll never want to swing anything else. Save your season and save with incredible new pricing on Black Ops and Gen 7. Book your fitting now. PXG, you've never played like this before.
Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. You know, Hub's Peanuts has been cooking up the top 1% of peanuts for over 70 years. And these aren't your average nut. These are super extra large Virginia peanuts cooked in the USA. Family-owned Hub's Peanuts have more protein than any other nuts. So whether it's a boost on the course or a special gift, the variety of flavors guarantees Hub's Peanuts is just what you need. Family-owned, nutritious, delicious, and sustainable. Hub's Peanuts, it's just right. HubsPeanuts.com.
FlightScope Mevo Plus is the ultimate indoor and outdoor golf launch monitor and simulator. It gives you the club and ball data you need with the accuracy you demand. Mevo Plus comes with ownership of simulated golf courses for you to play and practice at home. Mevo Plus is an essential golf partner to help you improve and understand your game better. Put more purpose in your practice. To learn more and get your Mevo Plus, shop now at flightscope.com.
4! This is golf, and this is Golf Superstore, the only place you can walk in for a free driver fitting, have it built, and tee it up the same day. Try Fit and Go today.
As we welcome you back to the Fairways of Life show, yeah, the beautiful Pacific Coast, Northern California, Pebble Beach. What a grand stage it was once again for the game of golf. Collin Morikawa back in the winner's circle. And Collin Morikawa, as we talked about, 848 days since his last win on the PGA Tour. When we talk about Anthony Kim, we're not talking about days. We're not only talking about years, we're talking about more than a decade. And with Anthony Kim, he was right up against John Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau in order to do it. So incredibly impressive. When you salt in the story that surrounds it, the fact that he was dealing with injuries and more injuries and then more injuries, and that led him down pathways where he had to deal with some personal demons, including addictions. And from all of that, he has marched his way back into the winner's circle. Christina Kim is our guest. And Christina, I wanted to ask you, let me just throw the net as wide as I can to start then and say, how impressed are you that someone could have gone down the pathway that he did and now he's back amongst the winners?
Well, I would say having known Anthony for, oh my gosh, almost close to 2/3 of our lives now, he has been a living embodiment of defying the odds and of being truly one of a kind of a human being. And I don't know honestly of anyone else that could have done and gone through what Anthony has endured, and what he has gotten himself into as well, quite frankly. So I think that this is one of those things where you could write this script out and say, let's do an autobiography of this guy's life. And you'd take it to producers in Hollywood and they would say, not believable.
It's amazing when you put it that way. Anthony Kim has been so honest with us in his march back. And this was before, I think, many people, maybe everyone, he said, other than him and his wife and his inner circle, believed that he was capable of coming back to a level of winning again after being relegated out of the league at the end of last season and then fighting his way back in through qualifying. And now as a winner, the story, as you just mentioned, so much of it with his personal failings and the challenges that he faced and all the rest, it sounds like a Hollywood script that would be rejected as unbelievable. But he's been so honest with us about those struggles, about the things that he had to overcome. He's never painted himself as a victim. He's never laid blame on anyone else. He has told us frankly and honestly about his mental health issues that he has dealt with. As a person yourself that has lived through the fishbowl of being a professional athlete and all the weight, expectations, and judgment that goes along with that, is there anything that he has been going through that you can kind of sit back and go, yeah, I understand it, because I probably understand it in a way that nobody else really can?
Oh, certainly. If I'm not mistaken, it does one showcase my age. At the same time, I think it was in 2012 or 2013. It feels so long ago that it's hard to really recall. But I put up a 3,500 blog post because I blogged back then about my brush with suicide and my mental health struggles. And I think I was the first person as a golfer to even talk about it. I was one of the first athletes to even talk about it in terms of understanding that, yes, I'm in an extremely privileged place. Part of my struggles were the fact that, people love me, nobody knew me. And the things that I was going through emotionally, mentally, a lot of it, I would say, equated to burnout due to my own beliefs on what other people's perceptions of me were, where I was always the one helping other people and I never knew how to ask for help. And I just recall that, I almost took my own life as a result of that, because I just felt like it would be too much of a burden for other people. If I were to, turn around and be like, hey buddy, I've been the one that's always helped you out, but is it too much to ask? Like, can you listen to me? Talk about the stuff I'm going through. And I went through a really dark period in my life. Nobody knew about it. I didn't have the same kinds of demons to the same degree that Anthony did. I'm very fortunate that I didn't take the route that he took, because I don't know if I would have been able to be strong enough to endure that. And so anyone that you look at on tour, 90% of the players out there will have a similar story at some point in time throughout their career when it comes to the mental anguish. It may not necessarily be to the same degree, and there's a very, very low likelihood that the decisions that are made beyond that, those emotions will be the equivalent. But you look at what Anthony has gone through. Obviously, we're just we're coming up on that. It's a really tough time of year because we're coming up on Grayson Murray's the day of remembering him, and none of us are infallible, and none of us are without whether you want to call it shame, whether you want to call it sin, whether you want to call it, part of all of this is just the truth behind we're humans before anything else, and our humanity is what makes us so special, more so than the skill set that we have with a stick and a ball and us running around on a patch of grass, chasing around an inanimate white object that only moves once our body tells it what to do.
Through your honesty and through Anthony's honesty, I've seen some reactions on social media, et cetera, where people are kind of casting aside those of us that would phrase his victory as being inspiring. But isn't it safe to say, at least from the standpoint of a message coming from a professional athlete, to say to the world that it's okay to not be okay is inspiration? Because somewhere, somehow, I believe someone needs to hear that message, and you may just be saving a life.
There's no question. I have received over the years correspondences from people I've never met. I used to be very prolific on Twitter before it became a cesspool. I was very prolific on all kinds of social media. And so I've heard correspondences from people that I've never met from all across the globe. And I've had some interactions with professional golfers and other athletes that have told me that the message that I had put out, say through my own experience, that again, I have no shame in sharing what my life was because my life is based in fact. I don't have to be emotionally attached to the person that I was. Again, none of us are infallible. And I think that, if someone wants to discount that, that's their right. It's totally okay. And there comes a point in time when you learn that other people's opinions of you is none of your business. And all you can do is live your life with good intentions and a good heart. And sometimes one of those is easier to have than the other. Sometimes both of them are very difficult to achieve. But at the end of the day, as long as you know that you're doing it, the reality is we're always doing the best that we can. What our best does not always equate to the best, but we are always doing the best that we can with the information we have, and you only know what you know. So showcasing a little bit of grace and a little kindness to oneself, let alone to other people on this planet, can really go a long way.
There's no doubt about that. I'm hoping, speaking about going a long way, I'm hoping that Anthony Kim can continue on the path that he's on. I'd love to see him work his way back into the majors and see how that plays itself out, and maybe all that potential that you knew before even the rest of us with Anthony Kim, but that we saw through his 3 wins on tour and knocking on the door at major championships and representing the United States and President's Cup teams, and Ryder Cup teams, that maybe he can do something really special. And that too, I think, could be inspiring to so very many. You are, Christina, always inspiring, and it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, my friend. Thank you so much for being who you are and not being afraid to be who you are, because we love you and we wish you the very, very best.
Well, thank you so much, Matt. It's always great to be on. I love getting a chance to talk to you anytime I can.
Thank you, my friend. All right, folks, thank you to all of you as well for joining us for this week's edition of the Fairways of Life show. Until we are together again, be well, and goodbye for now.